Depuis le temps, j'avais toujours dit que j'allais m'adresser à vous quand le moment serait venu. Et donc, je voulais vous annoncer à tous que voilà, c'est ma dernière année au Paris Saint-Germain. Je ne vais pas prolonger et je vais terminer mon aventure dans quelques semaines. Je vais jouer mon dernier match au Parc des Princes dimanche. Malgré tout ce qui peut se passer en dehors, tout ce nuage médiatique qui entoure parfois le club, il y a vraiment des amoureux du club qui veulent défendre et faire briller ce club et ça fait plaisir. Et je sais qu'avec toutes ces personnes, ce club il est entre de bonnes mains. C'est difficile. Je ne pensais pas que ça allait être aussi dur d'annoncer ça, de quitter mon pays, la France, la Ligue 1, un championnat que j'ai toujours connu. Mais je pense que j'avais besoin de ça, un nouveau challenge après cette année.
Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC on the day that the worst kept secret in football was confirmed by Kylian Mbappe. He will be leaving PSG at the end of the season. That was just a small snippet of a 4-minute video, which I'm sure was lovely. Shaka Hislop with us here in the studio, as we also welcome to the programme Gab Marcotti, Nader Manua and Alex Kirkland. I want to start in Spain with you, Alex, and if you don't mind, I'm going to make this about me, because 15 years ago, I was at the revealing of Cristiano Ronaldo. Incredible scenes at the Bernabeu, 80,000 fans in attendance. Of course, that famous clip of Ronaldo looking at the stadium saying, "Who's playing today?" And they were like, "No, they're all here for you." This is the biggest signing since then, but is it fair to say there isn't quite the same amount of excitement considering all the faff that's led up to it?
No, I don't think so. I think the excitement when this eventually happens will be absolutely massive. And you're right, I think that Cristiano Ronaldo presentation back in 2009 kind of set the benchmark as having been sort of the biggest arrival pretty much that we've ever seen at a football club, certainly on that scale, filling the Bernabeu. And the expectation has always been that when Mbappe eventually arrives, that Madrid might well try and replicate that and make this sort of the biggest thing since the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo. I wouldn't say that the excitement's been dampened by what's happened in the last few years. Yes, we've had so many false starts, and almost it's happened. We had that 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and going even further back, and even last summer as well. It finally is going to happen this summer. Although, of course, this announcement from Mbappe didn't include the words "I am going to Real Madrid." This was just about "I'm leaving Paris Saint-Germain." I think that makes sense. I think it's been pretty clear from him all the way along, and you could hear it in this statement how important it's been to him to kind of be seen to be leaving in the right way, to be seen to be leaving in a respectful way. And that's why the timing of this announcement makes sense as well, as he mentioned there, ahead of PSG's last home game of the season, giving him a chance to say goodbye, everybody knowing what the deal is. But like I say, there was no mention in that 4-minute statement from Mbappe of Real Madrid. That will come. But Madrid aren't in a hurry, I think, to get that out there. We don't know when that announcement will come, but my suspicion is that won't come until the end of the season, because Madrid don't want any distractions ahead of the Champions League final.
What's interesting, Alex, and banging on with this Ronaldo comparison, is that when Cristiano Ronaldo arrived in 2009, they hadn't won the Champions League, since 2002. So it was a big gap there. Kylian Mbappe is coming into a side that's already won La Liga and are favourites to win the Champions League. So it's not quite that kind of same saviour narrative.
Yeah, there's this big debate, isn't there, right now, kind of who needs who more? Do Real Madrid need Kylian Mbappe, or does Kylian Mbappe need Real Madrid? Does he need this move to leave PSG, to join Real Madrid, to join the most successful club in the history of the European Cup, a club that have won the Champions League just in the last decade, in 2014, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2022, when PSG, of course, famously have never done it. Does he need this move more than they do? And that's quite a turnaround, I think, from even a year ago. Even a year ago, we would have said, with the departure of Karim Benzema, leaving this kind of void in attack for Real Madrid, even a year ago, we would have said Real Madrid needs Kylian Mbappe. Now that's a little bit different. And part of that is about what they've done this season, as you mentioned, winning La Liga, being in the Champions League final. Part of that is about the evolution of this Real Madrid squad, the way that Vinicius Junior has gone on to another level, to be arguably the best player in the world right now, the impact that Jude Bellingham has had as well since his signing last summer, being the other big star for Real Madrid this season. That has changed. I think the circumstances have changed, and the feeling has changed as well. But no, I go back to what I said before. I still think when this happens, yes, it's been a long time coming, but it will be hugely exciting. Everyone here will lose their minds, and we shouldn't forget what a good player he is. Even though he disappointed for PSG right at the end of their Champions League campaign, we shouldn't forget what a talent he is and what he can bring to this team and what he can bring to La Liga.
And when it comes to managing everything that's going to go on with his arrival, Gab, Carlo Ancelotti, not a bad man to deal with it all.
Well, he's certainly built a reputation over the years as somebody who's the Galactico whisperer, right? He's somebody who's very good at managing egos, managing superstars, kind of on the man management side, but also on the pitch, figuring out a way for people to play together. I mean, he has two left wingers in Vinicius and Rodrigo leading his attack this year, and yet he found a way to make it work. And they're adding another guy who plays on the left in Kylian Mbappe. So I think there's going to be two big pieces here. Is one on the man management kind of stroke ego side, keeping Mbappe happy, helping his transition, and the other one on the tactical side. How do these pieces fit together? And is it going to be Vinicius? Is it going to be Mbappe? Are they both going to play somehow wide left? I don't know. He's figured out bigger conundrums in the past, but this one's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, what's the expectation, Alex, from the Madrid media, how these stars are going to line up together?
I think what we've seen from Real Madrid this season actually has been a little bit of laying the groundwork for Mbappe and working out a way that Mbappe can fit into this Real Madrid team. And a big part of that has been the evolution of Vinicius Jr. as a player. As Gab said, Vinicius has always been a left winger until this season, when we started to see a bit of a shift. We started to see Ancelotti pick him as part of, at times, as a front two with Rodrigo. And as you can see there, potentially, I think you can see Vinicius Jr. operating as in a front two with Mbappe. We've seen Vinicius operating increasingly through the middle as well as on the left. I think he's getting better in terms of his movement off the ball, the runs he's making. Just look at that goal he scored, for example, in the Champions League against Bayern Munich in the first leg of their semi-final, that Toni Kroos pass running down the middle. Those are the kind of movements we've started to see from Vinicius this season. That's been encouraged by Carlo Ancelotti, who's talked about how getting Vinicius closer to the goal can increase his productivity in front of goal as well, being a player who scores with just one or two touches rather than just being a kind of a dribbling winger as he was when he first joined Real Madrid. So I think all of that has happened this season. Part of it has been about making Vinicius Jr. a better player and making the team better. Of course it has. That's been the primary focus. But also at the same time, I think it's served as like a little bit of a trial run in terms of how can we fit Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe into a team. As Gab mentioned, it's worked this season quite often with Vinicius and Rodrigo, sometimes with Vinicius coming inside, sometimes with Rodrigo coming inside. And I think the same thing might well apply to Mbappe.
Nathan, is there not, aside from Vinicius Jr., just saying, wait a minute, why am I the one that has to sacrifice my best position? Because I've proved that I am one of the best players in the world here at Real Madrid. Look what I did for you in the semi-finals, for example, compared to what Kylian Mbappe did for PSG, where he went missing.
Yeah, Dan, to be honest, I think ego is always going to come into play when it comes to football, but ultimately I don't believe that is going to be as big an issue as, say, you perceive it to be or other people might perceive it to be. The fact is they're bringing in one of the best players in world football to come and join Madrid, to join that Madrid culture and to try and help them be even more successful. And I think with someone like Carlo Ancelotti on the sidelines, there's so much belief that he will find a way. This is a guy that never looks flustered. This is a guy that can find a way with the pieces that are available to him. So I'm sure from when he comes in, if he comes in, that they'll be able to form some sort of magical connection. As a consequence, Vinicius Jr. won't just be receiving balls from Bellingham. Now he's going to be getting it from Mbappe. He's going to have people stretching the game as well. And as a consequence, that raises their potential even higher. So I wouldn't necessarily take offence as such if I was Vinicius Jr., because ultimately I think there will be a way where both will be on the field and they'll both be able to thrive, potentially raise themselves to whole new levels yet again.
Do you agree, Shaq?
I do. I think key to all of this, key to this working is Carlo Ancelotti, as Gab was alluding to. I think he is the one who kind of understands players, their mentalities, and how to get the best out of them. Whether it is leave Vinicius Jr., who right now is among the favourites to win the Ballon d'Or, leave him on the left, somehow convince Kylian Mbappe to play on the right, or switch them around. But whatever it is, whatever that solution may be, again, I think this comes down squarely to Carlo Ancelotti, and there's no reason to not believe that he can somehow make all of this work, including somehow figure out Rodrigo and what his position with the club at the club is. And to Alex's point, I think as far as who needs more, I think so much of this is a win-win-win in that Kylian Mbappe needed to be away from PSG and France. I think a move to a club like Madrid a couple of years ago would probably have benefited him a whole lot more. Madrid welcoming the best players on the planet at the Bernabeu, again with Carlo Ancelotti, that works. And then for PSG, I think they desperately needed to figure out life after Kylian Mbappe. Again, as close as they've come 4 years ago, as close as they were this time around, this project, as it were, building around these global superstars, these individuals, hasn't delivered the Champions League, the holy grail for their spending. And maybe it is now they desperately need a more team-oriented focus, and they're only able to do that without somebody like a Kylian Mbappe within their ranks. They need it just as much as probably Kylian and Real.
Is there any way that Shaka's wrong, Gab, and this could all fall flat and it be a disastrous move?
Oh, I think there's definitely the possibility. Look, as we said, we're all assuming it's Real Madrid. People have told us it's Real Madrid. But the reality is, as of June 30th, he can sign with anybody. So there is a possibility that I think it's unlikely he's going to stay after he says he's going to leave. But, hey, maybe fancy's going somewhere else. Maybe he's going to team up with Erling Haaland. Who knows? I mean, these are remote possibilities. But in terms of the team itself, there is that possibility. Luis Enrique tried him out in a central position on a number of occasions, especially in the second half of the season. Of course, we saw him play centrally against Borussia Dortmund after Bradley Barcola came on. It's not like he can't do it, but obviously it is a transition. It may be that they take turns coming inside, which is effectively what Rodrigo and Vinicius have done this season. I think there's also another question, kind of the elephant in the room, is neither Vinicius nor Mbappe are known for their defensive work and their pressing off the ball. How is that going to affect how Carlo plays? Real Madrid don't press very much, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they do it very well. Will they have to do it even less? Can he get them to go and cover that side of the game as well? So there's a ton to get stuck into beyond who plays where and how do we keep all the egos happy.
How much better does this make Real Madrid than Manchester City now, Naden?
Oh, Dan, thank you very much for that. It's very, very kind of you. I think Real Madrid, obviously, they're a class apart, especially when you look at European football. Whether they play well or play badly, they still have an opportunity to be able to get to these finals and to have the expectations that they have. And I think when you bring in one of the best forwards in world football and add it to, as the guys are saying, someone like a Vinicius Jr., who is, being spoken about for Ballon d'Or standard, then yeah, it makes them really, really dangerous. I think obviously as well, as you look at the Real Madrid side, I think when you put that possible starting 11, there's no Toni Kroos in there, there's no Luka Modric. So you can see that maybe there's a bit of a transition to come as well. But in terms of attacking potential, if they can find a way to make it work, this is one of the scariest front lines in world football. And ultimately, if they achieve their potential, they'll be really dangerous. But as the guys were saying, that defensive side of things is probably not going to be their strong point. And I think the teams who maybe are more balanced, that do have talent, yes, they'll think they'll have a good chance. But if he goes to Real Madrid, I mean, talk about a great team getting better. I think it'd be really exciting to see, and they'll be a very, very tough team to beat.